All right. Our next question, sent in the CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Ryan. Have you ever been given the opportunity to work in Japan for Giant Baba or Antonio Inoki?
And the answer is Noki. I have naughty. You will remember Dr. Mike Lano got me booked in Japan one time for the Lucha group. Universal Wrestling, yeah, which go look up that story on the YouTube, the official Jim Cornette YouTube or the Arcadian Vanguard channel, either one. But no, and don't get me wrong, that was a big honor for the boys in those days. Because if you were an American in the 70s and 80s and got a chance to go to Japan, not only was it big money, but it was, these big companies that didn't fuck around were saying, we have confidence in you that you're a major talent and a great worker, that you can hang here. And somehow that, even though that is no longer the case in most cases with people who go to Japan and wrestling companies in Japan, it is somehow still the mistaken apprehension. What's the word I'm searching for? It is somehow the misapprehension or whatever the fuck of today that now any schmo, just like in America, any schmo can work in Japan depending on who it's for. Some of these mark promotions even book their own dates and pay for their own tours in Japan to say that they went to Japan. But in those days, yes, it was an honor. It was big money, but they didn't use managers. Why would they have? And more importantly, why would I have wanted to go to Japan? I've never enjoyed traveling or flying. When I flew in the 80s, it was only domestically. We've talked about it. I never went anywhere internationally, but we never had time off. Once I got over in Mid-South and then to World Class and to Crockett Promotions and the NWA, I never had any time off from a big spot, a big money spot or a guaranteed contract until I started Smoky Mountain. And then I worked with the Japanese companies to bring some talent over, but I had no interest in going because, did I mention, it's a long fucking trip. And why would I go over as a manager? So, no, and that's the reason why the Midnight Express in the 80s never went. We were making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a week every week for long periods of time in this country. Why did we want to start from scratch? Because the Fantastics went to Japan. The first time, I think they got $2,000 a week apiece. Now, by the time that they finished, they built it up with Baba where they were getting like $5,000 or $6,000 a week apiece. But you got raises with successive tours. I didn't want to spend any time in Japan, and the boys didn't want to leave a job where they were making at least as much money in the United States as they would in Japan, if not more, and break up our spot. So it wasn't a thing, but I just wish that, because now you see the fans, they treat it like it's something hallowed. Well, so-and-so, this guy who works on an indie show somewhere, it is a mud show guy or a deathmatch guy or some fucking high spot goof, just sold out a show in Japan in front of 350 people in a barn somewhere over there. That the promoter probably booked their own tour and paid for 6 guys' flights so they could all say they went to Japan. It's not the same. Every show, just like over here, every show in Japan is not the Tokyo Dome, just like every show here is not WrestleMania. And it's ridiculous, this myth that going to Japan now has gotten with the fucking smart marks. Once again, I use the derogatory term, not fans, but smart marks on Twitter or smart marks in the fucking wrestling ring. Who's like, well, I've been to Japan. Fuck, you can ride a Greyhound bus anywhere and you can get a job washing dishes at a diner once you get there. That doesn't mean that you're being flown to fucking New York to cook at a 5-star restaurant. Have I made myself clear?
Did anyone ever approach the Express about doing a Japan tour?
Well, no, not in, I mean, only in, we'd see Wally Yamaguchi or, some of the Japanese photographers or whatever. Oh, you should come to Japan someday. But they knew also we're either the World Tag Champions or we're in a program with one of the top teams or we're whatever. It wasn't. And remember, we left before WCW started working with New Japan in 91, 92. So the only time if we'd have been under contract to WCW and they'd have tried to get me to go to goddamn Japan and not pay me extra money over the fucking guarantee that I was on to work in this country, that would have probably been the blow up there too. And because that's what they were doing to the guys. They were saying, oh, we're paying you guaranteed money, so go to fucking Japan and work too. That's what Flair got sideways with him about one time. He'd always done his own Japan deal and always made extra money over on top of what he made for Crockett or whatever the fuck. But I would have vetoed that in terms of, no, don't give me the extra money. I ain't going to fucking Japan. But the Midnight may have gone if we'd have lasted long enough.